This edition of the KTM Summer Grill literally could go off the rails because our guest does a very good impersonation of me. And it's great to get him on to talk about the flying end to the season he had, what he's looking forward to in 2024 in a condensed Tickford Racing outfit. Thomas Randle, welcome to the Summer Grill.
Thanks, Rusty, and g'day, AVL. Yeah, I was tempted to do an introduction there, but maybe I'll save it for the outro.
Hey, you've still got that blonde hair under that cap, I think, have you? Yeah! Tell us about that. Come on.
So, look, Tickford's been known for doing some pretty cool social media content. The wizard that is Tom Rattenbury makes some amazing videos, and we did a Tickford hangover style video at the end of last year. We did a 3-part AU Falcon series this year called the Tickford Cup, and then we'd been sort of brainstorming as a group, as a collective, myself, Cam, James, Declan, and Tim and Tom about, okay, we've got to go out with a bang at the end of the year. And we'd been sort of brainstorming for a couple of months about literally doing a hangover recreation. And I guess we all committed to the cause. So Sunday after the race, out the back of the pits, not sure if AVL was still there, but Declan and I had our hair bleached. So first time for me bleaching my hair.
Oh, I saw it. Don't you worry. I saw it happening.
Yeah. So look, all for a good cause. And, Cam had the skullet, as we call it. So he had pretty much all the hair on the front 3/4 of his head shaved off, and the mullet was still hanging off the back. And then for JC, we did the inverted version of that. So he still had his fringe, and then everything else was gone. But yeah, it came out pretty well, and I think it was well received amongst everyone. So that's we just wanted to, I guess, another lighthearted and funny video to send off the year. And I mean, it's a great way for everyone to see our personalities. And
totally.
I guess that's part of the sport. Everyone sort of sees you in a serious mode on TV, trying to win races and get pole positions, but there's personalities behind the faces, and that's what we try and showcase.
I've literally never seen you in serious mode on the television once in my whole entire life. But was it sort of rock, paper, scissors as to who got the bleach and who got to actually shave their heads? Because it's, I don't know. I actually don't know which one's better or worse. I don't know what you'd be going for.
Well, actually, JC said he's never had short hair. So all through his career, he's had, I guess, medium to long hair. There was a period there many years ago where he had quite long hair, but he never had short hair. So, to see that. And Cam's had that mullet, I swear, forever. He sort of has had the corporate look before, but I feel like being sponsored by Monster, the mullet kind of suits him. So to see them both rock up at the gala with full number 2 shaved heads was quite funny. And I guess Declan and I were equally as hilarious with our very much raw bleached hair, very orange and yellow. But I can say I have been to the hairdresser since, and it's now fully, properly blonde, and I'm just going to let it grow out. And I think my dad will be happy to see it go back to dark brown.
Great work. Give us a report card on the year that was. We talked in the introduction about the fact that you had a podium there in the Castrol Mustang in Adelaide and so on, and how much, given the big change that the team is about to make back to 2 cars, or going to 2 cars, I should say, how excited you are about 2024.
Very excited. I guess to sum up the year, it's definitely been up and down. I know that probably a lot of people say that, but to think literally 12 months ago, there was like one bare chassis, a center section at Tickford this time. And the fact that they were able to build 4, all the guys and girls there, like working public holidays and 16-hour days to build 4 race cars like they have and race them through the year. There's, we had 2 engine fires earlier in the year. One at, not in my car, but as a team, 2 engine fires, one at the Grand Prix, one up at Hidden Valley. And, I guess the parity was a very big talking point. It still is. And I'm looking forward to see how all that process goes over in America and with the engine program here as well. But yeah, it's been tough for everyone, but to walk away from the year and say that, hey, we actually got 4 podiums, a pole position, didn't get a race win, but to finish almost in the top 10 given the year that it was, I think is really cool. And there was quite a lot of changes throughout the year for Tickford as well. My engineer, he's moved to BRT. So the last 2 rounds, I changed to Chris Stuckey, which has been really fun. But, I guess up until that point, I've been working with Ray Lau, and, that change happened for Gold Coast. And I guess the team made the announcement sort of 2/3 into the year, or after, I think, the Bend, or just before the Bend, that the team was going back to 2 cars. So it's quite a big business decision for Tickford. And there's a lot of staff at Tickford Racing, so including the drivers too. I guess a lot was up in the air at the time, and to try and make sure you can put that out of your mind and focus on the job is a really important thing. And yeah, I felt like, I guess, the back end of the year, it was a pretty strong way to finish the season for the Car 55 team. And it's going to be different next year, going back to 2 cars, but I'm pretty excited to see what happens. And I think it's going to be really strong for Tickford.
Was it a bit concerning when you are hearing stories about the team scaling back? Obviously, there's no guarantees. You've got 4 drivers in the team. There's only going to be 2 cars available next year. Was there times when you felt a little bit in the dark, a little bit like, man, I've got to get out there on track and perform because I need to make sure I'm earning my spot next year?
It's pretty cutthroat, AVL, and it was pretty much like that. Yeah, I mean, there's, you got to sort of put it out of your mind that, you could be the one on the chopping block, I guess. But I think that we just announced it, and we had the SMP round, and that was a pretty torrid round for myself. I don't even think we're in the top 20, so it was, Then you start doubting yourself and thinking what's going to happen, but rolled into the Bend, and I just wanted to ignore everything. And there was so many rumors about lots of things, other teams as well, and drivers and movements from other personnel, whether it be engineers, mechanics, all that stuff. And I thought, you know what? None of that stuff, worrying about that, is going to make me a better driver and faster on the track. I just need to focus on what I know I can do and the processes that I guess I've had throughout my career, and working with AK, our team, performance coach, and my family as well, backing me, and all my supporters and sponsors. And we rolled into Tail and Bend, and this was still pre-aero change, and it was a dream weekend to come away with 3 podiums, pole position, second for the rounds, and leading into the Enduros. I was feeling pretty confident. So that was probably a turning point, I guess. And then the second part of that was, then we had the aero upgrades for Gold Coast, and we nearly got a podium there, and then to get the podium at the Adelaide 500 again was really cool for everyone. And it's, like I said, it's been a tough end of the year for the team in that regard, but I think everyone got through it really well. And to get Cam to get a couple of wins as well was pretty cool.
When you talk about the change, some of the drivers that are departing the fold, the change in staffing, and Tim Edwards is obviously off to work for Supercars and so on. They're a big loss on the one side of the ledger, but on the other side, I guess you could say it's an opportunity for a fresh set of circumstances. From what you're seeing from an ingredient standpoint, are you confident for 2024 and so on?
I am confident, definitely. I mean, to touch on that point, Tim's been with the team for 19 years, so, and Trudy as well. So I guess they're part of the furniture, and he's been at the helm of what was FPR, ProDrive, and now Tickford for quite a long time. And I guess for Tim, he's always been in just one garage, whether it be his time in Formula One or in Supercars. And it's quite a big change for him to go to Supercars, which I think is going to be really good for the sport. But he'll be able to go into everyone's team and see everything, which is probably a bit different for him. And he doesn't have one team to cheer on and one team that he's backing. Now he's got to look out for the sport, for the category, and try and improve Supercars, depending what area that is. I mean, I think we have a great category already, but there's certainly always areas to improve, and that's a big challenge for Tim. But in terms of for Tickford, there's plenty of ingredients, and I think we've seen that over the last couple of rounds as well, that it's just growing and growing. And to get a double podium at Adelaide was pretty special. We got another double podium at the Bend. I've known Cam for a long time, we raced karts against each other many, many years ago, and we're good mates. And yeah, we hang out a fair bit off the track as well, and we work together closely with AK. So yeah, I'm excited for what 2024 will bring.
Who's better at flying model planes, you or Cam?
I'm
sure it gets competitive. I'm sure it gets competitive.
He's good at crashing them, to be honest. He's probably better at flying them. Yeah, he's got a couple of cool electric jets that we take out, and yeah, we have shunted a few, but that's part of the fun of it. That's for sure.
I remember you and I had dinner at Phillip Island last year on the MotoGP weekend, and I said, I reckon next year you really need to step up and be the number 2 at Tickford. Like, it's time to do that. And you said, I'm going to try my best. And the second half of this year, you've absolutely done that. You mentioned the bend as a turning point. Did it take a bit longer to find your feet in supercars and hit the stride that you've now hit maybe than you expected it to?
Oh, I think in ways. It's a tough one. It's such a competitive category, and a tenth of a second can be the difference between qualifying in the 10 and qualifying, 15th and 16th. And the thing about supercars is it is a qualifying category, and a lot of sprint races that we do, if you qualify 15th, it's very hard to move into the 10. And last year was a big learning year. There was certainly more lows than highs, but I felt like we showed a lot of promise, and a lot of, I guess, cursed things that happened last year. We got them out of the way. And it's funny, I've got a friend of mine who works at Australia Post in analytics, and he actually made up an Excel spreadsheet last year of my cursed season. And it's amazing to look at all the things that happened that, I guess, prevented from a lot of what should have been. And I guess that some people say you make your own luck in racing, but I feel like this year we executed a lot more, which is great. At the end of the day, when you finish a race or a race meeting, you want to be able to put your heads together and say, all right, well, I think we executed everything that we could today in the race or over the weekend. And I felt like that was a lot more of a case this year, which it sort of shows that when you can execute well and when you know what you can execute, that's when I think the results come. And when the results come, I feel like it's just validation for all the hard work that goes into it. And yeah, there was a lot of times last year where it was so close to being a good result, and then things didn't go that way. And, like, for example, Adelaide last year, we had so much speed, and I crashed at turn 8, pretty much bent the car like a banana. And then you got to race 2 races and you're sort of hanging around the mid-teens. And yeah, it's a bit frustrating. Whereas this year, we had the speed and we showed that. The second race came off second best with the battle with SVG, but again, I think we showed that the speed's there, and the back half of the season was really strong. First half of the season was tough, a few teething issues, and we had some good form at Perth, but had a mechanical issue that ruled us out of one of the races there. But look, everyone's got a story. I'm just excited to hit the ground running next year and take off from where we finished this year.
The new car, everyone's had their view on it, the change and so on. When was the moment you felt in sync with it, where you felt like you understood it and related to it, and was it the bend?
I think probably Townsville. The Sunday race is when I sort of everything started clicking, and that qualifying as well, got in the shootout, had a strong race. The Saturday race was really good as well. Just towards the last 5 laps, I blew the tyres off it, but I learned a lot. And I would say that weekend was the turning point. It helps when you have car speed, but you got to be able to use it as well. And those 250k races, especially a track with high degradation, it's easy to fall into the trap of, all right, I got the speed, I can use it, but actually you're burning the tyre. And if you have a late safety car and you've used the tyre up, then you're pretty much stuffed. So I'd say that was the turning point. But I really enjoy these Gen 3 cars a lot. You look at somewhere like Gold Coast, where we're actually on the same tyre compound as last year, and the qualifying times were within a tenth of a second of last year. So I think these cars are actually probably faster than we were expecting. Granted, high speed, they're not as fast. I think low speed, they can be faster because they're lighter, the lower center of gravity. They look great. I feel like you can race a lot closer than the old cars. But yeah, the hardest thing has been that if you try and overwork the tire to race someone, then yeah, you can blow the tire off. So that's probably the tricky part. But I thought the racing was pretty good at Adelaide and Gold Coast. Yeah, they might be a little bit fragile too, but I think there's really good potential with the Gen 3 product.
You're a super analytical driver. I mean, you obviously your day job in between racing cars is training drivers and mentoring drivers at Dream Simulations there. How helpful was that? You've got a Gen 3 model there. How helpful was that during the year as you were trying to get your head around this car, having that resource of like your own fully professional simulator?
Well, I'll just touch on that. You were one of the drivers too that got to train as well.
That's why I know how good a teacher you are.
Very helpful. I've got to thank the whole team at ASR, Australian Sim Racing. They're the ones that actually modeled the car and built the car for the sim. And the beauty is that we're able to alter the physics model. And I guess at the start of the year, we didn't have a lot of data on the actual car. So throughout the year, we've been sort of correlating the data that we get off the track to the sim, and then you're able to alter whether it's the car model, the engine, aero, tire model, all that sort of thing, the braking performance, so the car feels as close as you can to the real thing. And I mean, for example, at Adelaide, I think my fastest lap on the sim was within a tenth and a half of what was done on the weekend. Wow. So to have that that model is fantastic. And I've got a resource overseas that I contract to help build and modify tracks, so we can have the track models as well as close to the real thing. And yeah, I find that really helps, especially when you have limited track running. And Adelaide, Thursday was wet, and then you roll into Friday, 30-minute dry session before qualifying, and we were fastest. I'm not saying that it was all the simulator, but certainly helps that I guess I can spend as many hours as I want on the simulator, and whether it's working on turning points or technique, trying different things, it's all relevant, and that's where I think it comes in handy. And like you said, we have a whole bunch of guys and girls that come and use the sim, whether it's Super 2, Carrera Cup, 86, Aussie racing cars, GTs. Yeah, I think it's really good, especially when track time is so limited.
I think it was your pole lap at the bend where like the simulation and the onboard was like frighteningly similar. It was incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing how close you can get it, and yeah, to do that split screen was really cool actually. And it just shows that I think what we do in the sim is pretty realistic. I mean, look, it's never going to be the same. You don't have the fear factor. You don't have that sense, the full sense of speed. But to be able to just get out on the track and immediately know, all right, I know where I want to brake and all that sort of thing. And yeah, the lap times there were also pretty similar. So that is a pretty cool feeling.
We're going to let you go because you are busy at a Castrol sponsor function there in Auckland, so you've got to go off and do some work. It would be remiss of us before we leave if you didn't give us your very best safety announcement. Apparently you can copy what I do at the Grand Prix pretty closely, so give it your best before you go, quick.
Well, I was actually going to do an outro.
Okay, go. You do the outro. You do the outro then. Come on.
All right. Okay. This is with no vocal warm-up, Rusty, but we'll see how we go. All right. Thank you for listening to the KTM Summer Grill. I'm your host, Greg Rust, and joined is AVL and Thomas Randle. Enjoy your evening.
And on that note, we're going to wrap it up. All thanks to Thomas Randle. Check back in on the Speed Cafe website tomorrow to see who our next guest is. Bye for now.
You could be a winner each episode of the Summer Grill. KTM are giving you the chance to win a bar stool, a mug, and this race-inspired clock as well. So there's more good reasons to tune in and hear from some of the stars of world motorsport here as a part of the KTM Summer Grill. All you got to do is click on the link below, fill in your details, and you could be in the running to win.